The vet's place was on fire, but actually not. As it turned out, the new hospital itself, which lay separately to the rear, all one could see from the road. There was the entrance and office block totally in flames, scarlet tongues shooting fast skywards from the foot showers golden spark. It was a single-story building, square, extensive, dying, spectacular. At once, a, a, at once disaster and majestic. Ken had raced up frantically from the restaurant alone, driving like the furies, leaving the rest of us to follow and thrusting Belinda into suffering virtually from the feelings of rejection. "You might have waited for me," she said it 4 times aggrievedly, but no one commented. I broke the speed limit into the town. We couldn't get the car anywhere near the vet's place. Fire appliances, police cars, and sightseers crowded the edge of the parking area and wholly blocked the roadway. The noise was horrendous. Spotlights, streetlights, headlights threw deep black shadows behind miring helpers, and the flames lent orange halos to the firemen's helmets and shone on spreading sheets of water and on the transfixed faces outside the cordon perimeter. "Oh God, the horses!" Belinda, leaving us at a run as soon as our car came willy-nilly to a halt, pushed and snaked a path through to the front, where I briefly spotted her arguing unsuccessfully with a way-bearing uniform. Ken was out of sight. Great spouts of water rose in plums from hoses and fell in shining fountains onto the blazing roof, seeming to turn to steam on contact and blow away to the black sky. The heat, even from a distance, warmed the night. "Poor things," Vicky said, having to shout to be heard. I nodded. Ken had enough worry beside this. There were the thuds of 2 explosions somewhere inside the walls, each causing huge spurts of flame to fly outward through the melted front windows. Acrid smoke swirling up the dams, stinging the eyes. Backpack voices yelled. 2 more thuds through the windows with a shearing roar, like a flamethrower's sharp, brilliant tongues lit across the parking space toward the spectators, sending them fleeing in panic. Another thud, another first just burst of flames. A regrouping among the firemen heads together in discussion. The whole roof fell in like a clap of thunder, seeming to squeeze more flames like a face from the windows, and then dramatically the roaring inferno turned to black billowing smoke, and the pyrotechnic petered out into a wet and dirty mass smelling sour. As it drifted in the winds, settling in grey flakes on our hair, one could hear the hiss of water dousing hot embers, lungs caught from smoke. Lungs coughed from smoke. The crowd slowly began to leave, allowing the 3 of us to get closer to the ruined building to look for Belinda and Cam. "Do you think it's safe?" Vicky asked doubtfully, stopping well short. "Weren't those bombs going off?" More like tins of paint," I said. Greg looked surprised. "Does paint explode? Where had he lived? I wondered that he didn't know that at his age." "So does flour explode?" I said. Vicky gave me a strange look in which I only just got the benefit of the doubt as to my sanity. But indeed, air filled with flour would blast into explosion. It ignited. Many substances diffused in the mist in air would combust. All bodies, oxygen, fuel, and fire. "Why don't you go back to the car?" I suggested to Vicky and Greg. "I'll find the other 2. I'll tell them I'm driving you back to the house." They both looked relieved and went away slowly with the dispersing throng. I ducked a few officers, saw no immediate sign of Belinda and Ken, but found on the right of the burned building an extension of the parking area that led back into widening space at the rear. Down there, movement lights and more people. seeing Ken briefly and distantly as he hurried in and out of the patch of light. I set out to go down there despite a warning shout from behind. The heat radiating from the brick wall on my left proved to be of roasting capacity, which accounted for the shouts, and I did hope as I sped past that the whole edifice wouldn't collapse outwards and put me where I fell. Ken saw me as I hurried towards him and stood still briefly with his mouth open looking back where I'd come. Good God, he said, did you come along there? It isn't safe. There's a back way in. He gestured behind him, and I saw that indeed there was access for another road, as evidenced by a fire engine standing there that had been dealing with the flames from the rear. Can I do anything? I said. The horses are all right, Ken said, but I need. He stopped suddenly and began shaking as if the enormity of the disaster had abruptly overwhelmed him once the need for urgent action had diminished. His mouth twisted and his whole face quivered. God help me, he said. It sounded like a genuinely desperate prayer, applying to much more than the loss of building a building. I was no great substitute for the deity, but one way or another I'd help deal with a lot of calamities across busloads of British tourists, for instance, ended up figuratively speaking on embassy doorstep, and I'd mopped up a lot of personal tragedies. I'll take Vicky and Greg back to the house and then come back, I said. Will you? He looked perfectly grateful even for the goodwill. He went on shaking this integration not far ahead. Just hold on, I said, and without wasting time led by the rear gate, hurrying along the narrow road there and getting back to the main road via an alley. Finding that by luck I'd come out only a few steps from the car, Vicky and Greg made no objection to being taken home and left. They hoped Belinda would forgive them, that they were going to bed to sleep for a week, and please would I ask her not to wake them. I glanced at them affectionately as they stood dropping in the police hall of Thetford Cottage. They'd had a rough time, and when I thought of it, looking back, they hadn't seriously complained once. I said I'd see them in the morning and took the front door key with me at their request, leaving them to shut the door behind me.